The group that could swipe before they could wipe is all grown up, and they're poised to change the landscape of pro sports fandom. Gen Zers are no longer just a concept. They're now a vital group of consumers with the purchasing power and cultural sway to be game changers in their own right. And they're coming for traditional sports.
No cap on God.
While the sports fans of yesteryear were once content to wear a jersey, sit in front of a TV, and watch the game, Gen Zers are demanding more, and they're forcing industry executives to come up with a new game plan.
You're just looking for a glow up? I got you.
From how games are presented to what sports are popular, nothing is off limits as Gen Z rethinks the traditional sports landscape. How is Gen Z literally changing the game when it comes to the way we consume sports? Sit back, relax, and take this in. The sports industry has long been a moneymaker, and it's not in danger of going extinct yet. The value of the North American sports market is projected to surpass $83 billion in 2023. But one major challenge executives will have to navigate to keep growing, pleasing the whims of Gen Z, who don't pledge their fandom easily.
Low-key, high-key, low-key.
Unlike their elders, Gen Z consumes sports much differently. It's no surprise that the rise of cord cutting has disrupted the sports viewing landscape, fracturing the TV industry's one-stop shop on cable and satellite. Licensing agreements, regional restrictions, and exclusive broadcasting rights have limited the variety and accessibility of sports options on streaming platforms. This has resulted in a fragmented viewership and increased frustration for sports fans. Streaming services, which are moving towards sports programming to increase their subscriber bases, are costly, and the sheer number of them can deter some fans. What it ultimately comes down to is that everything isn't in one place like it used to be, and people aren't willing to sign up for every streaming service that has sports. A recent Morning Consult survey of 1,000 US Gen Zers defined as being between 13 and 25 years old found 33% of them don't watch live sporting events. Only 24% of US adults and 22% of millennials said the same thing. Gen Zers aren't turning on TV news or flipping to the sports pages of a newspaper like the olden days. Rather, they're getting their news from Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And consistent surveys show that when this group spends time online, music, movies, and pop culture trends outrank sports when it comes to grabbing their attention.
Sports? No.
And unlike the sports fans who came before them, Gen Z isn't particularly keen on attending games in person. Nearly 50% of Gen Zers surveyed by Morning Consult said they'd never attended a live professional sporting event. Not just that, but youth sports participation is on a steady decline too. In 2018, only 38% of children ages 6 to 12 regularly participated in team sports, down from 45% a decade earlier, according to the Sports and Fitness Industry Association, as cited by the New York Times. And it only got worse from there after the pandemic forced the temporary closure of many sports leagues. As per the Times in 2021, 28% of parents with children in youth sports said their kids weren't interested in playing anymore, according to a survey conducted by the Aspen Institute Sports and Society program. Does this spell the beginning of the end for sports fandom? Not quite. In 2021's The Belong Effect report, which surveys millennials and Gen Z globally, only 11% of the 8,000 young adults surveyed were season ticket holders, but 85% of them engaged with sports on social media. And a 2020 Washington Post article on the relationship between Gen Z and sports found that, according to ESPN's internal data, 96% of 12 to 17-year-olds still identify as sports fans. It's just that they aren't as passionate as they used to be. The number of kids who claim they're avid sports fans dipped from 42% to 34% over the previous decade. So how are professional leagues adapting to grab and hold the attention of Gen Z? For starters, they're embracing new forms of content. As a 2020 NHL-led focus group found, fans of today are largely interested in seeing athletes in their real lives. Because of that, both leagues and teams are creating content to show the human side of their athletes. Docu-series featuring behind-the-scenes access to athletes have boomed in recent years. When this strategy works, it really works. For example, F1's title as the world's fastest-growing sport can partially be attributed to the success of Netflix's Drive to Survive. Younger fans also want more than just a formulaic game broadcast. The answer? more content on YouTube, kind of like what you're tuning in for here.
You see what I did there?
Google research showed 74% of survey respondents interested in sports visit YouTube several times a week, and the value of that content is poised to significantly increase. A Washington Post story used 2Circle's data to show short-form video sports content is predicted to increase in value by more than 100% in the next year. In contrast, live TV viewing rights are only expected to increase in value by 18.7%. The pivot to digital is well underway. Leagues are leaning more heavily on non-TV metrics to measure success, with online external data sources like social media increasingly serving as the North Star. The 2020 NBA playoffs, played in a bubble during the COVID-19 pandemic, averaged 3.04 million viewers, according to Sports Media Watch. That's a paltry total compared to their social media views for the year, which the Washington Post reported numbered 13.2 billion. Gen Z also doesn't merely want to watch, they want to actively participate. The kids today prioritize personal connections, interactivity, and the ability to shape the narrative surrounding their favorite teams and athletes. A little personality doesn't hurt either.
Just beat the devil out of it.
That's where social media and video gaming play a significant role. The NBA is ahead of the game in this area. With 40% of the NBA's core fan base under the age of 35, they have a heightened interest in capturing the attention of Gen Z. The league now has over 285 million followers across the major social media platforms. That's more than the other US leagues combined. And the NBA is encouraging active participation in another way, by acknowledging Gen Z's desire to align with brands, athletes, and teams that are representative of their social and environmental beliefs. They've led the charge in empowering athletes to take a stand on important issues and actively contribute to social change, which might be causing one of the biggest shifts in pro sports on the horizon. Not merely how we consume sports, but what sports we consume. For decades, football has been the seemingly unshakable fan favorite among American sports fans. But that could change dramatically. A recent Kantar Sports Monitor fan engagement survey found that today, while 42% of all sports fans follow the NBA, a majority of Gen Zers, 58%, follow it. And it's not just the NBA they like, they'll watch college hoops too. While 35% of general sports fans watch NCAA men's basketball, 41% of Gen Zers do. Basketball stars also figure highest among Gen Z's favorite athletes. Morning Consult data shows LeBron James and Steph Curry are tied for favorite athletes in Gen Z's eyes, both with net favorability ratings of 41. And NBA stars made up 6 of the athletes on the list top 10. Gen Z is the first generation to never know a life without the internet, and most can barely remember a time before smartphones. They're doing things differently, and the changes they're creating are already disrupting the landscape of pro sports as we know it.
You know the vibes.
Are you a member of Gen Z? What do you think about the ways sports fans in your generation are forcing sports industry executives to innovate? Let me know in the comments.